Article 7, 8, 9, that is Wadi'a chapter, a little long chapter. I am looking for finishing this chapter, inshallah. Let me read first the article. Seven, eight, nine. Müstevda eğer vediayı sahibinin izniyle madde-i anifede beyan olunduğu üzere diğer mal ile karıştırırsa yahut kendisinin sun'i olmaksızın iki mal birbiriyle kezalik yekdigerinden tefrik olunmayacak surette karışsa, mesela bir sandık derununda vedia olan altın kisesi yırtılıp içindeki altınlar diğer altınlarla karışsa, mecmuunda müstevda ile sahibi vedia hisseleri miktarınca şerik olur. Bu halde bila taaddi ve la taksir, telef ve dahi olsa zaman lazım gelmez. Yes. I think almost we know all words. So there is no Arabic word here to write on the board. Broken translation. 7, 8, 9. Mustavda, a person who vedia is given to, eğer vediyayı sahibinin izniyle madde-i anifede beyan olunduğu üzere. As it is mentioned in previous article, if mustavda, with the permission of vedia dur, vedia owner, diğer mal ile karıştırsa, if he mixes, mustavda mixes vedia with another thing, with the permission of the owner of vedia, with the permission, yahut kendisinin sonu olmaksızın iki mal birbiriyle kezalik yekdigerinden tefrik olunmayacak surette karışsa, or without his fault, without his failing role, if two things mixed with each other, vedia mixed with something else, in a way that it is not possible to separate, to know which belongs to who, which without his failure, without his fault, if that mixed with each other. Mesela, like example, bir sandık derununda vedia olan altın kisesi. If a purse, a cloth wrapped, have gold money in it, gold coins in it, in a wooden box, then that torn, without role of anyone, that purse, içindeki altınlar diğer altınlarla karışsa, the gold coins in get mixed with other coins, gold coins in that wooden box, mecmuunda müstevda ile sahibi vedia hisseleri miktarınca şerik olurlar. In this case, müstevda and vedia dur will have partnership in that unseparable mixed thing according to the ratio of their thing, whatever ratio was, like 10%, like this much, like 50 gold he had, the other one, so 50. So that mixture will be owned by these two persons. Two persons will be having share on this mixture, according to the level and ratio, proportion they had owned. Okay. Bu halde bila taaddi ve la taksir, telef ve dahi olsa zaman lazım gelmez. It is not necessary to compensate. Mustavda is not supposed to compensate, to pay for any loss without his active fault or without his failing attitude. He will not be responsible. Whatever that things disappears, goes wrong, he will not be responsible for that to make up. Okay. English. If the person who has undertaken the safekeeping of the thing with the leave of the owner mixes it with other property, as mentioned in the last article, or without any act of his, two properties become mixed in a way that they cannot be separated from one another, like a purse of gold, which has been put for safe custody in a chest, wooden box, being torn, and the gold inside it being mixed with other gold, as regards the whole, the shares of the owner of that delivered for safe custody and of the custodian are up to the amounts of belonging to each. Shares are shared. Okay, in this case, if it is lost and destroyed without fault or neglect, no compensation is payable. No compensation becomes necessary. So, this is that English. Okay, this one, 7, 8, 9, if the person to whom property has been entrusted for safekeeping mixes such property with the permission of the owner thereof with other property as it is stated in the preceding article, or if without any fault of his part, two pieces of property are mixed together in such a way that they cannot be distinguished, the one from the other, as for example, where a purse of money, which is delivered for safekeeping, is put in a box, and the purse is torn, and the gold coins therein are mixed with other gold coins, the person to whom they have been entrusted for safekeeping and the owner become joint owners, yes, of the total amount of such coins in proportion to share to their shares. In these circumstances, if the coins are destroyed or lost without fault or negligence, there is no need to make good the loss. To make good the loss. I think this second translation seems a little bit better. Okay. Just to move a little bit ahead. Okay. 990. 790. 790. 790. Okay. I am reading. مستودع وديعي بلا إذن آخر إيداع إدمس İdüpte ba'dehu telef olsa zamin olur. Ve eğer müstevda-i saninin taaddi veya taksiri ile telef olmuş ise mudi' dilerse müstevda-i saniye tazmin ettirir ve dilerse müstevda-i evvele tazmin ettirip o dahi müstevda-i saniye rücu' eder. Yes. Same words. Müstevda vedi'i bila izn ahire ida edemez. İda, you know this word? İda. Veda. Yes. İda veda'a. To trust, to leave, to deposit something to safekeeping, for safekeeping. Veda'a, vudi'a, evda'a, udi'a, yudi'u, yuda'u. İda. Okay? Müstevda vedi'ayı bila izn ahire ida edemez. Müstevda person cannot give that thing as vedia to another person without permission of the owner. İdüp de ba'dehu telef olsa zamin olur. If he does give to another person as vedia for safekeeping without permission the owner, and that becomes destroyed, get lost, he needs to compensate for that. Ve eğer müstevda-i sani'nin taaddi ya taksiriyle telef olmuş ise, mudi dilerse müstevda-i saniye tezmin ettirir. If that becomes lost, that vedia becomes lost with the fault and defect, failing attitude, failing behavior of the second mustawda, if that was bad, mudia, vediadur, if he wants, he let second mustawda pay for that loss. Ve dilerse müstevda'yı evvela tazmin ettirip. If he wants, he can let first mustawda pay for that loss. O dahi müstevda'yı saniye rücu eder. This first mustawda, in this case, he can go to second mustawda and get what he paid from him. Fantastic. Fantastic. The custodian cannot give the thing which is in his charge into the custody of another without leave. If he does, and afterwards, if it is destroyed, he is responsible. And if it is destroyed by default or neglect of the second custodian, the owner, if he wishes, can make the second custodian compensate him. And if he wishes, he can make the first custodian compensate him. And the first custodian recovers it back from the second custodian. Seems that is not bad. This is first English translation. Second English translation, 790. The person to whom property has been entrusted for safekeeping may not transfer such a property for safekeeping to any other person without permission. If he does so, the property is destroyed, he must make good the loss, compensate good the loss. If the property is destroyed owing to the fault of negligence of the second person, the owner of the property may, at his option, claim to have the loss made good from either the second or the first. If he recovers from the first, the latter has a right, of course, of recourse against the second. Different terms, different ways of expressing thing, I believe. Okay. Okay, Bismillah. Ya Rabbi, you forgive us, give us Jannah, so we will forget that time what we are suffering here. 791. Mustavda vediyayı ahar kimseye ida edip de mudi muciz olsa müstevda evvel aradan çıkıp ol kimesine müstevda olur. Okay. Interesting. Müstevda vediyadan tu vediyayı ahir kimseye ida edip de if he gives vediya to another person as vediya, okay, mudi muciz olsa, then mudi gives icazeh, permission, after, approval, after, done, not before, after, icazeh. Müstevda'yı evvel aradan çıkıp, ol kimesine müstevda olur. In this situation, first müstevda comes out from vedi'a relation. That person, second müstevda, will become müstevda. Second person will become müstevda. Mujiz. Mujiz, the word mujiz. Mujiz. Muciz, icaze, icaze, ceveze, caiz, cevuz, caze, icaze. So in this situation, muciz, Mustavda gave without asking the permission of the owner, gave to someone else as a vediya. Then the owner gave his ijazah after that. He became mujiz. In this situation, the first person, Mustavda, his relation with his out of vediya contract, second person, the other person, becomes directly mustavda with relation with the owner, mujiz, mujiz. Okay. 791. If the custodian has delivered the thing in his custody to the safekeeping of another, if the owner permits it, the first custodian drops out and that person becomes custodian. New English. If the person to whom the property has been entrusted for safekeeping deposits such property with some other person, and the owner of the property adopts the transaction, gives permission, transaction, approves the transaction, adopts the transaction, the first person is replaced by the second. Okay. Okay. Let me erase these ones. Okay. Seven, 9, 2. Okay. Müstevda vediayı sahibinin izniyle istimal edebildiği gibi ahire icar ve iare ve rehn dahi edebilir. Ama sahibinin izni olmaksızın ahire icar ya iare veya rehn edip de vedi'a müstecir ya müsta'ir yahut mürtehin yedinde telef ya zayi olsa yahut kıymetine nuksan gelse müstevde'al zaman lazım kelur. Too many words but all you know. Okay. This is 792. Müstevda vediayı sahibinin izniyle istimal edebildiği gibi. Müstevda can do istimal, can use vedia with the permission of the owner. Müstevda as he can do. He can use vedia with the permission of the owner. Ahira ijar, he also can do rent, can let that be rented out to someone else. Or i'ara, can give as ariyah to be used by other person. Verrehn, and also a guarantee for credit. Rehn, collateral, dahi edebilir. So, Müstevda, he can use the vedi'a for himself with the permission of the owner. Also he can let that be rented out or given as a area or rahan. We discussed this before. He can do that with the permission of the owner. But sahibinin iznul maksızın without permission of the owner. Ahara icar ya iare veya rehni dupta. If he let that be rented out to others, to a third person, or i'ara to third person, or rehn to a third person, without the permission, I'm repeating, without permission of the owner, if he does, vedi'a, mustajir ya musta'ir yahut musta'ir. If vedi'a, telef yazai, get lost, get destroyed, in the hand of renter or area getter or guarantee getter, creditor as a guarantee. If that in his hand get lost without, this is done without permission, yahut kıymetine noksan gelse, or its value becomes decreased. Mustavda zaman lazım kelur. In this case, mustavda, it is necessary for him to compensate for that, to pay for that loss, to pay for that. Mustavda is going, because he did without permission of the owner. Yes. Lazim kelur. Okay. English. $792. The custodian can let for hire or lend for use or pledge the property delivered to him to keep, just as he can use it with the leave of the person who delivered it to him. But if he lends, or pledges it without the leave of the owner, if the thing is destroyed or perishes in the hands of the hirer, borrower, or pledgee, or if there is a diminution in its value, the custodian must make compensation. Okay. New English. 792. The person to whom property has been entrusted for safekeeping may, with the permission of the owner thereof, use such property or let it on hire or lend it or give it on pledge. Yes. If he does so without the permission of the owner, however, and such property is destroyed or lost while in the possession of the person taking it on hire, or the borrower, or the safe, or the pledgee, or the value thereof is decreased, value of it is decreased, the person to whom the property has been entrusted for safekeeping must make good the loss. I think let us conclude at this point. Seems like that